All right, looks like we've got a few people on the webinar, so we can go ahead and get started. Appreciate everybody joining us. Today, we're going to largely talk about secrets, how we're helping organizations fix and prevent them, as well as find them within their organization here at Legit. So my name is Joe Nicastro, Field CTO for Legit Security. I've been here for a little over a year, but have been in the AppSec community for quite a while now. And with me is Justin Bradley. If you want to introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Justin Bradley. I'm the VP of Customer Success here at Legit. I've been here for about a year. I've spent most of on and off of about 20 years in the privileged account management and secret space. So happy to enlighten and complement your demo today with some customer stories and use cases that I think are relevant.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Justin. Appreciate it. So yeah, just to kind of set the stage, right? I think as a space in application security, secrets is probably one of the most difficult things to tackle, largely just because of the amount of secrets that are out there in the environment. We're seeing reports of non-human identity secrets increasing year over year, sometimes 100, 200%. And in addition to that, we're seeing a lot of reports that are showing that at the end of the day, secrets tend to be the most compromised area of security, and also the usually the foothold to some of these larger software supply chain attacks that we're seeing in the space, right? And to the point where we're seeing almost 16% of compromised secrets being that most common initial attack vector. Additionally, we're also seeing, as companies are starting to become more utilize development and technology to increase their market share, they're increasing the overall developers that they have on their staff, right? And with that, the more developers that we have, obviously, the more exposed secrets that we're getting. Largely just because, again, these developers are integrating a lot of different tool sets across these overall development environments that do require a lot of integrations, require a lot of non-human identities. They themselves have their own API keys and things like that that they're utilizing to access a lot of these different areas of the development process. And so with that, we're seeing, approximately about 350 secrets exposed for every 100 employees across an organization. So when you have organizations that have, upwards of 10,000 developers, you can see the level of sprawl that this potential problem can take across an organization, right? And then additionally, it's really difficult to find secrets, right? We do have things like pattern keys, which are a little bit easier, but a lot of secrets are just random entropy. And sometimes that can lead to a lot of false positives, but it can also lead to a lot of false negatives with these scanners just not being able to find particular secrets in the overall environment. And so again, not only finding them is difficult, but then sorting through the number of those secrets that you have to determine which of those are actually real secrets that you need to remediate or revoke or rotate versus some false positives that are being found makes this problem a little bit more of a difficult issue to solve as well. The other issue that we're seeing is largely that we're finding secrets everywhere. Over the last few years, most of the secret solutions out there have largely focused on finding secrets in code repositories, which is absolutely important. You can actually see the statistics that we have there. That when we did our own research internally at Legit, ended up finding out that we're finding about 12 secrets being submitted per 100 code repositories, right? Again, when you start talking about organizations that have 10, 20, 30,000 repositories, you can see the level of scale that this potential problem can bring. But we're also seeing that these secrets are being exposed elsewhere throughout these overall development environments, and again causing potential issues with breaches or leaks or IP data or data just being found by malicious actors, right? So things like cloud services, where Amazon keys, AWS keys, Google keys, et cetera, being implemented in not only the code but also things like the artifacts themselves, build logs, et cetera, right? There's actually some research that has been done by a number of organizations there that have actually shown that leak things like AWS keys, once they are leaked, are actually being found by malicious attackers within minutes, right? So we're not talking about days anymore. of malicious hackers finding these secrets. It's literally minutes of them being exposed on the internet before they're actually being utilized, which is a problem considering that most organizations, as you can see, take over 200 days to even identify the fact that they had a data breach or that this information has been leaked, right? So again, it's not just important to find these secrets, it's also important to make sure that you have a secret solution that's scanning all of the different areas of your overall development environment.
And one thing to add here is a lot of customers come to us where they have a secrets program. It's not good enough. They're focusing on one aspect of this. Usually it's reactive. They get management questions of, can this happen to us? Do we have this problem? Answered universally, yes. There's definitely a pivoting, in my opinion, in the space to people thinking more proactively too, not just what's the next thing in the news and do I have that problem, to where are actually my secrets and how can I get a hold of those?
It's a really great point, right? And so to your point, Justin, one of the things that we're doing here at Legit is not only making sure that we are covering all of the different attack surfaces that you could potentially find in your overall environment that may contain secrets or some type of PII or again information that could be leaked that could cause compromise. But we are making sure that we're putting up guardrails to prevent these secrets from really hitting your environment in a number of different areas, right? So everything from CLI tools that your developer can utilize on their own IDE or their own desktop to make sure that they're not submitting those secrets, to things like pre-receive hooks where we can actually capture those before they're getting into your Git environment so that now they're not even in that Git history. All the way through things like PR checks and gated build steps to actually look for these secrets and things like build artifacts, your CI/CD systems, artifact registries, et cetera, right? So again, the goal here being that not only do we detect secrets with a low false positive rate, but then also making sure that you have the entire coverage that you really need to detect those secrets, regardless of where they're being found, and then actually start to prevent those secrets from being entered into your overall environment to save the time of needing to go through and revoke and rotate and really clean up that history later on.
One aspect to add in this too as well, get into the demo, is most customers will look at this and they see a lot of work and a lot of change in their culture and their environment. And I think the best approach that we've seen from the customer base is to take it as a phased approach. You pick and choose use cases and controls that make the most sense to your environment and slowly add those in kind of strategic ways. So there's definitely not a lot of customers who start off with doing it all at once. Most customers will start with what they know they need to do, but they need a control and they need a solution that has multiple levels of capabilities, all the way from find, fix, and prevent, that allow them to have multi-year cycles of improving their security posture around secrets, because it is a big problem. There's a lot of cultural change that has to be invoked in the environment. So there is definitely a phased approach. So it's not like putting it all in at once. It's a lot of, okay, where am I going to start, or where am I going to be in 6 months, 8 months, a year?
It's a great point, right? So it sounds like the crawl, walk, run strategy is easily kind of the best strategy in what you're saying with the overall customers and kind of building into that phased approach.
Exactly.
Awesome, awesome. Appreciate that, Justin. So kind of taking another step forward, right? We talked about earlier this idea that secrets are very prevalent. We're seeing a lot of them. A lot of the issue that organizations are struggling with now is just the pure amount of secrets that they have, and understanding which of those secrets they should really start to prioritize in order to get remediated, right? Oftentimes we fully understand that there's just not enough development time or resources to fix everything, so that getting to inbox zero is no longer the standard that most organizations are trying for, which is a good philosophy, right? You never want to try to go for inbox zero, because again, there's potentially things that don't actually offer risk to the organization and maybe don't need to be fixed, right? So here at Legit, we're trying to really help organizations find the most risky issues within their environment, and those secrets that could really offer some level of issue or risk to the overall environment or the organization themselves. And so some of the things that we're looking at on our side to help organizations prioritize these things are things like validity, right? Is this secret that we're finding actually usable, right? Can we bounce this against an authentication API and actually get a known good response back? And if so, then we know not only is that secret being exposed, but it's actually a good secret that somebody can then utilize to compromise an organization or get some access to things and then move maybe laterally across an environment, right? We're also looking at things like asset exposure, right? Is this secret being found in something like, a public repository versus a private repository, right? Is it in a Confluence page that's publicly accessible by your customers or by, the general public, right? What is the actual the artifact that particular secret being found in, the business impact, right? Is it something that actually drives the organization? Is it an artifact that we're sending out to a customer? What is the overall impact to the organization if that secret was found, right? And so we're utilizing a lot of these different qualities around or context around the particular secret to determine what the actual risk factor is to an organization, so that we can actually show you, hey, of the 80,000 secrets that you have, there's really only probably maybe 100, 200 of them that you should really focus on, because those are really what's driving the risk in your organization.
What we see this reflected at is a justification of work, right? Like the reality is security practitioners are finding these secrets in various ways, including through legit, and then they're going to their partner, the developer or development team and the engineering team, and they're the ones that actually have to do the work. So they have to be pretty certain that what they're finding has impact and is worth the amount of time it would take that person to do that work. So all of this becomes really strong evidence of, hey, I know everything's important, but I really need some help, and here's why. It really helps to bridge the gap between the two teams.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, as we're talking about secrets, kind of what does this look like in a real life scenario, right? And so I'm going to quickly swap over from this PowerPoint. We can jump into a demo and kind of walk through, what we're doing here at Legit and how all of this works.
You're on mute.
Great call. Appreciate that. So just jumping into to our demo environment real quick. One of the things that we're doing here within Legit is really aggregating a number of different application security tools. So all different types of issues from SaaS, DAST, SCA, et cetera. But within Legit ourselves, we do have our own native secret scanner, right? And so what this allows us to do is not only look for, again, those pattern keys that we were talking about earlier, things like Google API keys, Slack keys, et cetera. But we're also looking for a number of different random entropy. So anytime that we see things like, base 64 or some other type of cryptologically encoded secret that we might find, we're again looking at that and determining whether or not that could potentially be a real secret, and then bringing that in for identification, right? And again, this could start to be fairly noisy in environments with a lot of repositories, a lot of known secrets, a lot of developers, et cetera. So having the ability to really start to triage through this in a number of different ways is really going to be helpful in organizations actually drawing down this risk, right? And so from our perspective, a couple of things that I'll just mention. Within the secrets that we find ourselves, there's a number of different context points that we can start to bring in, such as, how long has this secret been exposed? Who is actually committed by? If we see multiple instances of this particular secret, we can actually share all of those instances in one spot. This not only gives you the ability to do things like, ignore large swaths of secrets if you do determine that they're a false positive or maybe something that's not a risk, but it also allows you to understand the full scope of a particular problem, right? If I did find something like a Slack token that was being compromised, is it being compromised in many different areas, or is it just one local place that I need to fix it in, right? Additionally, from there, we can also give you information on, again, who's the overall developer that's actually committing these secrets. So now if I did want to do things like, maybe open up a ticket or set an assignee or take some kind of remediation action, I know who that particular person is that owns that particular secret, right? Or that particular issue. On top of that, like we talked about earlier, there's a number of different ways that we can start to actually filter through all of this information in order to really find those secrets that are the most impactful, right? And so, to that point, a couple of the different things that we can do is really look for again, the different types of issues. So we'll just go back and jump into all of our overall secrets because that's what we care about right now. But additionally, I can come in here and start to add additional relationships, right? Do I find secrets in things like, high business impact applications, maybe this is something that I want to focus on, right? Let's focus on all of the secrets that I found that are in my critical applications that are driving my revenue, my business, maybe touching PII, touching some kind of sensitive data, whatever that may be. But I could even take that a step further and start to do things like we were talking about earlier and actually look for, maybe my secret validity, right? Show me all of the issues where I have a particular secret that is known valid, right? We know that not only this secret is exposed, but we've actually bounced this against something like a Google API and validated that this key is in fact a known good Google API key, right? And so now instead of me having to triage through the 1900 secrets that were there, I can immediately see that I have one secret in my overall environment that's sitting on a very critical business impact application that also has a very valid secret. This is probably where I want to start first, right? This is probably where I want to focus my development efforts in that remediation effort.
And the reality too is that most of this is automated. There is some manual entry of information, and I think that's a really powerful additional aspect of the solution because it gives you the customization and the flexibility to structure the data and what's important to you as a customer. Because we know what the secret is, how it can be used, where else it's being used. There's a lot of data we can extrapolate, but at the end of the day, we don't know what these applications are, why they're important to you, or who owns them. So there's aspects of the solution that we work with customers on to help to customize the environment so that the data reflected is as accurate as possible, not just what we find, but in what you're telling us is important to you. Those two things together really help to streamline the process.
That's a very great point. Very, very great point. And we can actually talk about in a little bit, largely how we're helping those organizations kind of streamline or customize the overall solution in order to again give the best visualization or feedback to that organization as possible. So kind of taking that a step further, right? We talked about how we're finding secrets. We've talked about some of the ways that we can prioritize those secrets based on things like secret validity. Another thing that I'd like to mention is our ability to find false positives within secrets, right? Again, we talked about how difficult it is to not only find secrets, but then also make sure that we're not being so noisy with these secrets that we're bringing in a lot of false positives and potentially asking our developers to fix things that aren't real issues to begin with. And so, not too long ago, we actually introduced our capability around what we call, excuse me, where did I lose that? There we go. AI tagged false positives, right? And so essentially what we're doing here is we've built our own internal LLM that we've trained on a number of different public type secret research out there from different colleges, et cetera. Never customer data, but again, just a number of known secret research data that's been out there in order to understand what actually constitutes a real secret versus a false positive secret, right? And so in this instance, we're training the LLM to understand additional context, like where is that secret being found? What type of file is it in? Is it in a test file or is it in a real file? What is the context of the code before and after that secret, right? Potentially, maybe we're utilizing a variable to put in a plain text password, but later on, a couple lines of code later, we're stuffing it with an encrypted password, via a key management system or something like that. And so with this LLM, we can essentially start to send all of the context around the secret that we're finding from these customer environments to understand if we're finding secrets that are potentially AI false positives, right? And so essentially what this is doing is giving you the ability to start to look through the number of secrets that you have in your environment and understand where you might have things that are considered false positives that maybe you don't need to focus on effort and actually remediating, right? So again, just another way of taking all of the context around that secret to understand, is this something real that we need to focus on and fix? Or is this something that we can potentially ignore because it's not something that's going to cause us any issues going forward? So a lot of that's really table stakes, though, right? Being able to find secrets, being able to act on secrets, being able to filter or prioritize on secrets, It is something that a lot of the secrets tools out there can really do and help out with, right? So where is it that we can start to differentiate ourselves as far as our capabilities to help organizations build a better secrets program, right? And I think one of the main points that I'd like to mention is our ability to actually discover where these potential secrets can be found, right? A lot of secrets tools require you to know where you need to scan for these particular secrets, right? Do you have certain source control management systems, CI/CD systems, et cetera? And if you know where all of these things exist, great. You can hit the ground running and be off to the races, right? But we meet a lot of organizations where they only know a subset of their organizational build assets, and therefore there's a lot of potential shadow IT out there in these environments that also contain secrets where they can't actually scan for these secrets because again they don't know they exist, right? So one of the things directly out of the box that we'll do here, legit, is actually map out your entire development process, right? Everything from your source control management system to the different CI/CD build systems, artifact registries, as well as the deployment environment, right? This not only gives you the ability to see visually, all of the build assets that but as you can see here, we can actually start to discover assets that maybe you weren't aware that you had, right? And maybe an artifact registry. I have a JFrog artifact registry, artifactory here that maybe we didn't know about, we haven't integrated into, and now I can start to bring these discovered assets to your attention. So now we can start actively scanning for secrets inside of these shadow IT assets that maybe again we weren't scanning for above and beyond beforehand.
One of the one of the obvious drivers of this kind of a program is audit, right? An audit that says I found a secret in a repository. I need to make sure that this behavior is not continuing because there's a certain amount of risk around it, whether it's internal or external audit. Most customers will start a program from something like that and really focus on that asset or that part of the SDLC pipeline. What we're seeing smart customers start to do is think 2 steps ahead to say it's only a matter of time before my CI/CD pipeline starts to get audited or my artifact registry start to get audited. I want to have controls in place so at least I'm aware. Maybe I'm not prioritizing those issues today for various reasons, but at the end of the day, having the knowledge and showing auditors that you have control of your environment, not just of what you know about, but what's being built in the shadow IT aspect of some of this, is an extremely powerful part of a program that sets the baseline for everything else, right? How things correlate together, where is my inventory, and do I have control of my environment, not just on the stuff that I'm being dinged on, but on the stuff that's coming down the pipe.
Absolutely, absolutely. One other thing that we're hearing and seeing from organizations above and beyond just being able to find the shadow IT and assets that they have, again, to Justin's point for making sure that they can pass those audits in the future, is also being able to track attack surfaces that are not within their overall organization, right? And so, with that said, one of the newest things that we actually just released today is our ability to actually integrate with public secrets monitoring for those GitHub services or those GitHub public repositories that maybe your developers are utilizing outside of that organization, right? And so essentially what this is doing is it's giving us the ability to come in here and select the potential integrations that we already have from source control management systems that we know we have. And this gives us a collaborator list. And now we can actually go through that collaborator list and look for any potential public repositories that maybe that collaborator is utilizing outside of your organization that could also potentially have secret leakage, right? And so now not only are we addressing potential issues within your organization, but we can actually start to help you filter and find secrets again from your developers that are being placed in their private repository, excuse me, their public repositories on their personal side, right? So I could easily come in here and say, hey, I want to see all of the secrets that I have within my environment, where it's coming from a particular integration, and in this case, the integration that we're going to be pulling from is going to be our public, excuse me, our GitHub public repositories, right? And so where I
Yeah,
lost my.
just to add while you're pulling this up, I see this as a trend. A lot of customers are asking about this, and the reason is obvious, right? It's the next wave of where secrets are leaking to. We saw a similar trend a few years ago when it came to ticketing systems and build logs. Obviously, there's some sort of event in the news that gets people thinking about this kind of leakage. But once you start to cover that aspect, the next question is, well, where else are things leaking? And these kinds of repos are a huge part of the kind of the expansion and the overall ecosystem of what you should be monitoring.
Yeah, great point. And so kind of to Justin's point there, right? As far as our ability to actually look outside of those, again, just ran a simple query here. Basically, I'm looking for all of our open secrets that are part of this integration that we were just showing you that we built earlier, which is the integration into our public user system, right? And so what that's essentially going to do is it's going to look for all of those assets again outside of our organization that may be utilized by our collaborators internally, and then start to find any potential secrets that we're seeing inside of those public repositories, right? So again, to Justin's point, not only can we start to help out with any of that leakage inside your organization, but also start to alert you when those developers may leak this information into some of those public repositories that they're actively working in or maybe sharing code in on their own. So hopefully that makes sense. But again, just to the point that we're trying to make sure that the entirety of your attack surface is covered from end to end, because again, these secrets can largely be found anywhere, not just in that source code, but across a number of different areas, right? To that point, right? Again, we also have the ability to come in here and start to show where these particular secrets are being found as far as what the overall source type is, right? So again, lots of tools out there will help you find different types of code within secrets within code. But the idea of being able to find a secret within a knowledge base article or within an artifact or a different layers of containers, et cetera, are all going to be super important as you move forward, to make sure that you don't have that secrets leakage as you're going. One other thing that I'd like to share is not only is it important to be able to detect these secrets and remediate these secrets at scale, but also understanding what your overall progress looks like and how well we're doing within a particular organization is important as well. Right. So we just released this new secrets dashboard today as well. It's going to give you all of the information that you need to help you run an overall successful secrets program. So everything from an understanding of how many secrets are we remediating or opening, is that trend line getting better or worse, right? Are we adding more secrets to our overall environment, and maybe we need to do some additional training with our developers, or are we actively reducing these secrets over time in an appropriate manner, because not only are we preventing these secrets, but we're also closing and solving some of the issues that are already in your overall environment, right? Again, we can start to show things like, where are you seeing the most secrets within your overall environment, right? As per integration, am I seeing a lot of secrets being put into my source control management system versus, maybe my Confluence or my wiki articles, right? And this gives me an understanding of where I might need to focus some efforts to start preventing some of these things as we move forward, right? Or what is the overall attack surface that we even have that we're scanning for to begin with, right? What are the repositories, the containers, the tickets, the knowledge articles? So now you can actually validate and make sure you are covering that entire attack surface and aren't missing anything in your overall environment, right? All the way through things like giving you an understanding of within your environment, who are those developers that might be causing the most risk being brought into your environment, right? Where might want to do some additional development training, maybe bring them all in and teach them how to rotate secrets appropriately or utilize key management systems or not hide these secrets in overall code in plain text, whatever that may look like. Justin, looks like you wanted to say something as well.
Yeah, I think that the top secrets committers is definitely one of the more popular aspects of this new dashboard that we released, and it's probably obvious, right? The idea is, as a security practitioner, we're constantly chasing and searching and just trying to discover secrets, and that's part of the whole challenge of this program. But at the end of the day, if you can go to the root cause and understand some of the larger offenders, and obviously these aren't nefarious types of events, these are more honestly, it's a lot of knowledge gap. It's a lot of not understanding what they're doing. We have a lot of customers who actually call these challenges and issues bugs, right? If you phrase it as a bug, a customer might say, oh, yeah, okay, I know what a bug is. I know how to fix bugs. So at the end of the day, my team provides a free service. It's a shameless plug, but we do work with existing customers, not just to help them turn on the product and analyze the results, but actually help them train their various teams in ways that they would like us to do that. because there's many different reasons for that. Maybe it's a one offending team and somewhere, maybe it's an outsourced team, like whatever it is, we're here to help educate and empower and bring the two sides together. And that could be as simple as explaining why this is a bad thing to do and doing that work for you. Like, we realize a lot of our customers don't have free cycles. They don't have the time to do lots of free trainings and education. We can pick up that baton as needed. But again, it's case by case when it comes to customers.
That's a really good point. Really good point, Justin.
Um,
Yeah, go ahead.
one more thing I wanted to add is from a secrets, one of the other popular trends that we see from customers is not just using our secrets dashboard, which we feel like has, as you can see, a lot of really important insights. But as Joe is navigating through the solution, we have a lot of robust data, and there's a lot of queries that you can create that allow you to find exactly what you're looking for whatever reason it is, based on something in the moment or some sort of long-term project. It's very common for customers to use those queries to create custom dashboards. So a custom dashboard can be a secrets dashboard. Even though we provide our own, there's a huge amount of flexibility for you to say, you know what, I just want to know when a secret of this type is exposed in a custom dashboard, and I want it to have this widget, and I want it to have this kind of view, right? At the end of the day, it's your data. We want to present it to you in a way that is comfortable to you. So Secrets Dashboard is our first wave of, we think these things are important, but customizing this in any of the queries that you've seen. So sometimes customers get a little intimidated by running queries. Queries are super powerful, but at the end of the day, maybe it's a better best practice to create a dashboard with a query behind it, and then you can further investigate from there, right? We, again, realize our customers don't have a ton of extra time. They want a quick snapshot of where they need to spend their time, and then they can dig into the details. So it really depends on the maturity of your program and how much time you have. But the overall point I'm trying to make is the data is there. We have it. We want to correlate it and put it in a way that you can take advantage of. But that's a conversation, right? It's how you want to interpret your own data and how can you get the most out of it.
Yeah, all really great points. I will mention, and to Justin's point, we do have a lot of capabilities around customizing that particular risk or how you want to see that data. And with that said, we also do have an idea of pre-setup risk findings, or what we consider the most critical for organizations that maybe don't have that figured out, right? So one of the things that we'll offer in a widget here you can see is what we consider our top secrets that you should probably remediate. And things that we're taking into consideration are, where that secret's found, is it publicly exposed, what type of secret is it, again, is it valid, is it in something like a high business impact application, is it around sensitive data, et cetera, right? So we'll often help out with giving you a complete list of, hey, here's the top risk that you have. But then to Justin's point, if there's additional risk aspects that are important to your organization, you always have that capability of utilizing those queries to start adding in that additional context, to start to drive that narrative wherever you'd like to see it in your particular instance. Right. And just taking that, kind of a step further, we also have the ability to break this down into things like product units, or even just look at the actual repository itself, right? So now you can start looking at the risk within different types of entities in your organization, and how that risk is representative in either a particular application or a microservice, or again, all the way down to the base level of a repository itself, right? But all of this is, again, it's super important to understand the issues that you have, and remediate those issues. But at the end of the day, in order to run a successful program, you really need to have more preventative aspects in the overall environment, right? And so to that point, we're doing a lot around measuring things like CLI usage within an overall environment, right? How often are your developers not only downloading our CLI, but then also utilizing that CLI in their internal workspaces in order to capture those secrets, right? And how many of those secrets are we preventing as they get stopped by something like a CLI? Or even, again, looking at things like repositories that are utilizing something like a PR check, again, to stop those particular secrets before they're getting into your overall Git environment. Is something that we're capturing as well. Because again, running a successful program is not only drawing down the risk that you have, but then again, preventing a lot more of that risk from coming in.
Yeah. Last thing I'll add here is, from a preventative controls method, it is definitely maturity part of your program. You may or may not be there, but the overall lesson I've seen from the customer base is, once they start to adopt preventative controls in some way, more of a guardrail, right? The idea of recommending things get fixed before they get leaked, The ROI of that is actually quite easy to show. We work with a lot of customers in QBRs and day-to-day sessions where we actually can show, hey, you saved this amount of time by just not letting this thing get out there, right? Because at the end of the day, once it gets out there, it has to be fixed. You have to go back into the code in a different day. You have to work with the development team, find the development team. The amount of effort that it takes to fix it after the fact is obviously much higher than fixing it prior to it getting released. So these are definitely aspects of a maturing program that we're happy to start to work with customers to show value of, not just the fact that they're fixing the problems, but they're actually getting ahead of the curve, turning off the faucet, in addition to unclogging the drain.
Absolutely. Last thing that I'll largely cover here before we turn it over to any kind of questions and kind of wrap up is really around our policy creation, right? And so why this is important is because, again, out of the box, we've got about 1,000 policies here that are looking for all different types of secrets. This is continually being added on an ongoing basis. So as we find new secrets or new types of pattern keys or new types of random entropy, we're going to go ahead and add those policies for you. Where this becomes very beneficial is in two aspects. One, to Justin's point earlier, very, very customizable, right? So things like our validity checks. Again, number of organizations that might be utilizing services like SaaS and utilizing those in cloud environments. And in those cases, the validity checks are fairly easy, right? We know what that overall SaaS environment URL is, and we can bounce it against those known APIs. But there's a lot of instances where we might be running services either in our own hosted environments or our own private cloud and things like that. And so in this case, we give you the ability to come in here and edit your own validation hooks, right? And so now you can point us directly to where you're running your own, GCP, Slack server, wherever that may be. Again, whether it's in a private cloud or private hosted, whatever that may be. So now we can still do those same validity checks. Again, you also have the capability of turning on or off that AI false positive detection that we were talking about earlier, in case you didn't want all of that additional context sent to our own internal LLM, right? So you'll always have the power to determine how you're overall configured. But the other power to this is, kind of going back to what Justin was mentioning earlier around the queries, is the ability to come in here and start to create very complex queries that incorporate a number of different findings across the overall board to maybe either elevate that criticality or lower that criticality, right? So again, we can do things like, hey, show me all of my repositories that might be public that also have maybe an issue of a secret type. And then again, we can start to continue to build this out and actually start to find, maybe I'm looking for all my secrets that are in public environments that are also valid and that are also in a product unit that's, again, high business impact or whatever. And then again, I can start to elevate that overall criticality and know that when I see this particular policy come through, it's more important than any of the other secrets policies because of the way that we've tied all of this context together, right? And so really having this giant data lake where we have all of these different areas of context gives you the ability to tie all of this together in a cohesive and holistic manner so that, again, you're not just looking at an issue on a one-off, you're looking at that issue in the context of your entire organization and what that actually means to the risk of that organization. So that's all I've got from my side. Just, I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to maybe close with.
No, I think you covered it. I'd say overall, from a customer's perspective, secrets, I think you phrased it perfectly in the beginning. It's a really hard problem. It's a really complicated problem. There's no silver bullet, but at the end of the day, it's a combination of great technology that's trying to be as efficient as possible, and then working with a vendor, in this case, Legit, that has experience in working in these environments to give you tips and tricks and to help you get more out of the data that you have today to show value to management and to actually reduce risk in your environment. So it's not an easy problem, but it's definitely something that we're working with customers on and leveraging the technology.
Appreciate it. All right. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining. Really, really appreciate everybody's time here. And again, if this is something that's interesting to you or you'd like to know a little bit more, please don't hesitate to reach out and let us know. Love to jump on a call, answer any questions that you have, give a deeper dive demo, and maybe even talk about some of the organizational issues that you guys are having on your side.
Thank you.
Thanks much.